Thanks for tuning in to a pre-recorded special. At Black Abbey, every year, third Saturday of February, we pair cookies with beer. It started, honestly, as a joke. The very first beer and cookie pairing that we ever did, Andrew, who was taproom manager at the time, he and I did the pairings that morning. Somebody was having yoga in our taproom, and he and I were doing beer and cookie pairings while they were doing yoga. And then it's turned into quite a spectacle. And so here we are today to share with you the guided tour of Black Abbey beers paired with cookies.
Yeah, I didn't exactly know what was going on. I just showed up to work, and now here I am. So you're going to get the pure, uncut reaction of this beer and cookie pairing.
Yep. So typically the way that we do this is when you come into Black Abbey, you get a flight with 4 4-ounce beers and a couple of cookies apiece for the pairing. And then, but sometimes it's nice to not have to do that to come in and be in the tap room. You can just follow along at home. So
you want to enjoy yourself without the people around you.
Yeah. So for those of you who have acquired the to-go box, this is predominantly for you. We have these in order of how they appear on your menu. And so we're going to go ahead and walk through them real quick. Enjoy some of these cookies, and then I don't know, we'll
vomit in a trash can.
Yes, it is perfect.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and get started with Gold and Ale. Gold and Ale is a 5.4% English Golden. So pretty yellow beer. Again, 5.4 by volume, so not too strong. I like to tell people it's like this is just beer that tastes like beer. It tastes like what you would expect beer to taste like. A little bit sweet in the finish, not overwhelmingly so. Not really super bitter, very balanced. Just a pleasant, approachable beer drinking beer. Right. This is lovely.
Delightful.
Yeah. And so we paired this with a cookie that is designed to mimic a s'more. So I'm gonna break mine apart so that I can show you what's on the inside. Right, it's just like a regular little cookie.
Yeah, it's like a vanilla wafer cookie.
Yeah, and then some white stuff and then some brown stuff. Yeah. Put it back together. But it smells, right, like marshmallow. When we were prepping this, I said to Isaiah that this was the smelliest cookie of the 4, meaning it has the strongest aroma.
I mean, it is a very strong vanilla aroma.
Yeah, it's like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was here and broke wind.
Destroying New York City.
yes, vomiting in the trash can. But how do you normally eat cookies? Do you like nibble at them?
I don't.
Do you break them?
I don't eat cookies very often. I don't know. I drink all my desserts. But I feel like for something like this, you don't want to like just like whole-handed in your mouth like Cookie Monster. It's a highly wasteful way to eat a cookie. And then you don't really necessarily get to revisit the subtleties of the pairing. So I go for like a bite of a quarter of it.
Okay.
It really stings the nostrils.
I like to just eat the whole thing. I just stuff the whole cookie in my mouth.
I thought I was the anarchist.
But you know why I do that? There's no crumbs. I don't like there being a bunch of crumbs I gotta subsequently clean up. Although we are doing this from an undisclosed location, so I suppose somebody else will be cleaning up any crumbs that
Allegedly.
might be produced during this event.
Okay. All right. I've had my cookie bite. I've had my beer sip. And what surprises me the most is that because this cookie is so sweet, I expected the bitterness to be enhanced in a sip of this beer, but that is not the case. It is still really smooth, and you still get more sweetness from here than any kind of bitterness.
I almost feel like I get vanilla out of the beer just because the vanilla in the cookie is so strong. Now, when I drink the beer after eating the cookie, I like to sort of swish the beer around in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I gotta try to get it to come up through my nose a little bit, just so I feel.
Sometimes I like to regurgitate to really see if I got the flavor right the first time.
I learned that from a bird. But
We're talking about Jake the Cardinal. I know Jake.
Jake the Cardinal comes home to feed his young.
Yeah, this is a really pleasant pairing.
Honestly, I don't want to fast forward or give you guys at home the impression that we haven't previously done this before. But I think this one could be my favorite of the group, just because I really like this beer.
It's all downhill from here for you.
Yeah, forget it. So like, well, it's funny. We do samplings a lot at liquor stores, and a lot of times I start with Rose, which is our flagship Belgian blonde, and I oftentimes say that like this is our number one selling beer. And one day I was doing that, and some guy said, "So what you're telling me is that it's all downhill from here?" And I was like, "I mean, you can look at it however you want, sir." But
Everyone's a critic.
there's just one thing we've learned in this: it's that everyone is a critic.
Okay. Well, that's a bright start. I like that.
It was really good. So we are taping today in an undisclosed location, and because we are taping in an undisclosed location, we have microphones. We had to turn off any of the air conditioning accoutrements, so
We're in hell.
it's getting warm in here. So I'm gonna step off camera quickly and take off my outer layer, and then step back in. So don't be alarmed. Don't be alarmed.
I already know that Alex is going to edit this bit out.
No, I don't think you should.
But, yeah. Yeah, Carl's getting down to his skivs.
Yeah.
Here we go.
All right, I'm back. What?
What yourself?
You what yourself?
Man, you're really lit right now.
Yeah. It's a holiday appropriate
Uh-huh.
shirt that I wore today just for this reason. So we'll move on to our next beer, which is Pub Ale. So this year we've got some sort of new brands that have come into the Black Abbey family, and this gives us a great opportunity to share that with folks that may not know that they exist.
Yeah, I mean, 3 out of these 4 could be entirely new brands to people enjoying this.
And Golden Ale is brand new. This is the only year-round beer that we make that's in 16-ounce cans. It comes in 16-ounce 4-packs.
Unless you shop at Twice Dailies. Don't we have Rose in 16-ounce cans?
Oh, well, yeah, I guess, yeah. But, yeah,
We are not professionals.
yes, I don't know. How did we even get here? But anyway, Golden Ale, 16-ounce 4-packs. The rest of these are in 12-ounce 6-packs, but Pub Ale is really fairly new. We launched it last year during the Craft Brewers Conference. We brewed it draft only. And, the Craft Brewers Conference is the industry's largest networking event, but also professional development event, vendor show, trade show. And so it was in Nashville, so we're talking 15,000, 16,000 brewery people in town. And so a lot of breweries are really trying to show off and put out their best foot and try to really lean into whatever the current trend might be and make something that people coming in from out of town would be impressed by. And we also did that, but not in a, I would say, trendy way. We tried to make something that we thought our team would like to drink, and it went really well, and I think people really enjoyed it. And that was Pub Ale.
Yeah, it sold out very fast, and not only did it sell out very fast, the bars that took it ran out of it real quick too. Mm-hmm. So we knew we were on to something.
Yep. And so the original recipe, again, speaking of Andrew, previous taproom manager, Andrew.
He's so cute.
He and his family went to England on vacation, and when he came back, he said, "Man, all I can think about is how we went to these pubs and would drink what they called pub ale, and it was typically amber in color, really clear, English. So a lot of times English beers carry sort of a very subtle roastiness, not particularly bitter, but a little hoppier than golden ale. And so he and our brewers at the time worked on recipes, and we would run them through the tap room, and people always really enjoy them, to the point where we used to call this Andrew's Pub Ale. And then, Andrew moved away, and we kept kind of once in a while we'd roll it through the tap room. And then when it came time for CBC, we were like, this is it. This is when we should make pub ale and roll it out on the big system. And we did. And it was so well received that September of 2023, we moved it into the year-round rotation. So it got its own haiku, which is on the can. For those of you who don't know, all of our cans of beer have a poem on them that sort of talks about the beer, but also is just...
It's meant to give you some sort of a atmospheric sense of what you're about to drink.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
it describes the feeling of the event of drinking this beer just as much as how the beer tastes.
yeah. But
Also, I think that Carl just wanted to tell his family at holiday gatherings that he's a published poet.
it's true. My cousin, Rick, his career is he's a published poet. He has 2 or 3 volumes of poetry that he's written.
Oh yeah, well you got more than that in cans.
It's true.
Hey.
I'd like to say that I have at least 1 million poems published, which is great. Anyway, so pub ale we paired with this cookie that is, for those, also if you're wondering why we're being so,
Cagey.
okay, yeah, it's we don't like it when other people
Use our brand.
Yeah, protected intellectual property.
Yeah.
And so,
We're just operating on the golden rule.
yes, the organization that produces these cookies and then sells them to us as a fundraiser, we
By
try
means
to,
of children.
yeah, like
Somehow legally.
yeah, we try to not just bald-faced steal their at least intellectual property.
That's right. But if you've got a friend who maybe next year is interested in experiencing the Black Abbey beer and cookies pairing, maybe next year you have them tag along.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
And if they have friends, they can just bring Samoa them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, this is a cookie that's got sort of a bread cookie with peanut butter on the top and then covered in chocolate.
Okay.
And so I'll throw the whole thing in my mouth, and then I bite it on the right side, and I'll push the other half of it over the other side.
Like a
So-
squirrel.
like a squirrel. And I could chew on both sides at the same time and still talk to you, which is rude in some cultures,
Well, I applaud your fastidious eating practices.
like ours.
Okay. Interesting. At first blush, I get chocolate and cookie and peanut butter, and then I take a swig of beer. And this beer to me always has like kind of a toasty bread crust quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I get that wash of toasty bread crust sweetness, the peanut butter has a reprisal at the end.
A lot of times when I'm drinking pub ale on its own, the roasted malt gives a little bit of coffee, and I don't get that with the oiliness of the peanut butter. I get just, it takes that.
It does. It takes
roasted
that little
malt away.
roasty bite out. Yeah.
Well,
I didn't know you had to smooth out pub ale.
who knew? Why are you wearing your sunglasses?
It's tradition.
Okay.
We're gonna take a break now.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say that like a robot, but I'm trying to read Alex's. Alex is currently performing the French art of pantomime. Yeah.
That was my favorite Super Bowl commercial, by the way.
There was a mime.
There was a mime.
Oh, I missed that.
I don't remember what commercial it was for.
I must have been grabbing a Sprite for my daughter or something.
Yeah, that said something about. It was.
Use your words.
They were delivering the Statue of Liberty,
Oh no.
and the people in New York were like, "What are we going to do? Like, we can't just accept this gift and not give a gift back. What are the French like?" And somebody said, "Cheese." I said, "Okay." And then they show us the sort of the Eiffel Tower, and these French people are like, "This is
Fromage.
amazing. They brought us cheese. I love it." And then this guy, this mime, pops up and goes. It's really funny. Anyway, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
At Black Abbey, beer is our lifeblood. It's the force that drives us, the fire that keeps burning in our hearts. Using the best ingredients from across the globe, elevated by the skilled hands of our brewers. We don't just make beer, we create it. Grain, water, hops, yeast. These are the tools we use to create American beer inspired by rich European tradition. We delicately balance every aspect of our craft, from our small-scale brews to large-scale production, ensuring you get consistent quality with every sip. We strive for perfection in every glass. Pressure doesn't bend us, it doesn't break us, it perfects us. We laugh in the face of difficulties. We adapt and grow. We push through the pain and we do it for you. Enjoy a pint of your new favorite beer, Black Abbey.
All right, hi, we're back after that brief commercial break. We are sampling beers paired with cookies to give you sort of a guided tour through the event that is happening at our tap room Saturday, February 17th, which is coincidentally my birthday. So happy birthday to me. We're going to try some beer and cookies.
I thought you were going to start singing that song by Cracker.
Oh, I was more likely the song by Weird Al.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one, too.
Yeah.
It's a real bop.
Yeah, yeah. Happens every year. We eat a lot of broccoli and drink a lot of beer.
Yeah, dude.
Speaking
That's
of drinking
literally
a lot of beer,
my post-festival routine.
This is true. We did a 2-day festival in Chattanooga during the most blisteringly hot part of the summer.
It was brutal.
It was so hot, and the festival.
I kept
was,
Carl from committing homicide.
It's also true. There could have been death, but we worked the festival was there were 2 12-hour days.
It
outside.
was brutal.
It poured rain in the middle of one of them. It was a music event, really, with beer.
Lots of jam bands.
And so by the time, actually, was that the year we met the guy from Mo?
Yeah, he's a real fan.
Yeah, it's funny. But at the end of the second day, we were both just physically and mentally spent.
Yeah.
We're trying to leave the festival, and some guy was like, "Hey, can you give me one of those tap handles?" And
Carl's like, "I'll give you a tap handle," and I had to rush him along and just say like, "Sorry, they're not ours."
Yeah. Yes. And then we went to this place in Chattanooga called
Taco
Mac. Had a lot of beers. We ordered Schlitz 16-ounce cans.
We ordered regular old plain Schlitz in 16-ounce cans. You ordered some kind of big 2-handed sandwich number, I think. And,
Yes.
And I said, I know that this sounds like I'm making a joke, but can you just give me the biggest plate you have and fill it to the top with broccoli?
Yeah.
Steamed broccoli, please.
Give me all of your broccoli.
And Carl sat there as this pile of broccoli is set down in front of me, and the waitress is like, "Okay, here's your big plate of broccoli," and walks off. And I ate that whole plate of broccoli. I ate the whole thing. Ate a lot of broccoli, drank a lot of beer, just like Weird Al would have wanted.
Just like Weird Al would want.
All
And
right.
It was the first green thing I think either of us had eaten in 2 days.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know how it is when people think about beer and the festivals that coincide with it. You don't think a lot of Caesar salads. You know, you're thinking barbecue and burgers and pizza. And,
Everything was brown.
yeah,
Just everything we ate was brown.
very salty.
Yeah.
Very salty fare.
Yeah, that festival. Remember the story about Neil from Yazoo? So
I know a lot of Neil stories. Which one's this one?
So Neil from Yazoo was down there working that event, and the suppliers were not supposed to be the ones pouring the beer. We were not allowed to touch the draft system.
That's
We had
right.
volunteers to do that.
That's right.
Who had been trained.
Trained, yeah.
And so the volunteers working at Neil's booth was a mother and daughter.
Oh yeah, I do remember this story.
yeah,
Ooh,
they-
it's about to get very PG-13. Content warning.
They became so intoxicated that in order to entice people to come and try their beer,
Yep.
they were lifting up their shirts.
Yeah.
And
Mother-daughter team.
mother-daughter team. And so they were ejected from the festival.
You don't say.
Go figure, right? So then Neil was pouring his own beer until the festival organizer came over and said, "What are you doing? You can't do that. You're not allowed to pour your own beer." And he said, "My volunteers were thrown out of the festival for public indecency."
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, but I don't care about that. You're not allowed to pour your own beer." And
So then
he
Neil slashed his.
yes, he just unscrewed his tap handles and took his stuff and went home.
Wow. Should we all be so lucky?
The best.
Anyway, what do we got?
So, keeping in the theme of brand new beers to the Black Abbey lineup, this is an Irish-style red ale. And Irish Red, turns out, no one in Ireland refers to red ales as Irish Reds.
You don't say.
Yeah, go figure.
It's like how fish wouldn't say that they live in the water.
I thought you were talking about the band.
Oh, no.
I thought you were going to say, like fish wouldn't say anything about chalk dust torture.
Oh, they say a lot about a lot of things.
Yes. Anyway, but Irish Reds are typically red in color.
You'd imagine.
That's right. And the style was actually, the name for this style was originated by Heineken, of all places. And they sold the name to Coors in 1981 and dubbed it Killian's Irish Red. That was where Irish Red Ale, which Killian's is actually a lager, not an ale. What do you know? But anyway, so that's where that style originated. So sort of a hybrid bastardization of other
Yeah.
things.
As best we can tell, the first official red ale in Ireland was brewed in Kilkenny about 200 years before Heineken sold the name to Coors.
by Smittix.
Smix.
So Irish Reds are nutty and not nutty like weird, but nutty like you get some nut flavor and aroma out of them from the malts. Again, not a hoppy style at all.
Although crisp.
Very crisp.
Yeah, it's got a nice finish.
Yep, finish is nice and dry. Most of the Black Abbey beers overall finish nice and dry. I think that is sort of a hallmark of who we are and what we do. But again, pretty red color, less of that coffee character that I was talking about with pub ale, a little more.
But I get some like I get some like caramelized sugar on here. I mean, not like straight caramel, just that not quite like burned sugar. You know, like how you torch the top of a creme brulee or something. I get a little bit of that sweetness in here.
Torch the top of your creme brulee.
Listen, that's illegal in 13 states. Watch out now.
But so we're pairing this beer with this cookie that many of you are probably familiar with. It's covered in chocolate and coconut. Again, another odoriferous cookie offering. This one, because it's got all that like coconut sticky on it, I feel like there's a low possibility of crumbage, so I may actually take a bite out of this cookie. Unlike the next cookie in our pairing, where I will 100% put two of them in my mouth at the same time.
That's why we have so many stacked. Nice. Yeah, the aroma on this cookie is obviously straight coconut. I mean, it's dang near suntan lotion.
I mean, it's a real shame that coconuts are not native to Ireland, because I think these two things go really well together. Like, people in Ireland should be eating more coconuts.
You heard it here first, folks.
If only we could get a ship from the Caribbean to carry a coconut seed all the way to Ireland.
Oh, man. I was waiting for the Monty Python to come in here.
Oh, no.
Okay, as far as the pairing goes, for those of you who have had a cookie like this before, or are having it for the first time just now, you know that the chocolate balances out the coconut very nicely within your bite. What's even more surprising is that when you take a swig of this beer, the flavors of neither of the flavors of the cookie or the beer seem to get in the way of the other. Like, you get cookie flavor when you bite it. When you sip this beer, it pairs well enough that you don't get this jarring clash of flavors with the cookie. and then it washes clean without having too much lingering cookie flavor left. Like that crisp finish just like scrubs your palate a little bit. And it's kind of nice because that means that they're complementing each other instead of steamrolling one or the other.
I did have to refill my glass because I do think that this cookie particularly has parts that get stuck in your teeth. And so I felt like I needed a little more beer to kind of keep that moving.
I get that. You know, at my wedding we took communion, but I was so like nervous that the wafer stuck to the roof of my mouth because my mouth was so dry. And so when I took the communion glass to like take the sip of wine, I was like, okay, well this will dislodge it from the roof of my mouth. And I took the sip and it was still stuck. And so I kept sipping and it was still stuck. And then I just bottoms up the whole glass of wine in front of everybody, God and all. And that finally did the trick. But it made quite an impression on my my wife's side of the family.
There's always a reasonable explanation for some of these behaviors that you exhibit.
A million reasons and never an excuse.
Fair. But, so these 3 beers that we've just gone through are all relatively new to the Black Abbey family. I hope that you've really enjoyed those because we're about to step in for one that also has sort of a long and hilarious history with the company.
I hope you've been good this year.
Same. It Krampusnacht, I think, of all of our seasonal beer releases, I feel like Krampusnacht is probably my favorite.
It's up there for me, especially this year's Krampus.
And it sits a little bit outside of the normal role for us in that it's 7%. Most of our other seasonals are in that 4 and 5% range.
Yeah.
And so that makes it sort of naturally unique. But also, it's dark and it's a little roasty and it's very smooth, but it hasn't always been that way.
No, it's true. It's improved upon itself year after year.
And
yeah,
the-
and we say it every year, and it makes some of the production team a little like itchy when we say it, but this is the best version. This year's is the best.
The very first year we did Krampus, I think, was in 2016, and it was in.
That was the first one?
I think so because
you
it
might be
wasn't
right.
7%.
Yeah. That's right.
So
So that
the
would have been
law
2017.
changed. Right. Yes, because the law changed in 17. So I think we brewed it in 16 because it was under 7%. Right.
Allegedly.
So, but I remember being at Craft Brewed and when hearing about how the law was going to change at the beginning of the year, and I remember Chip saying, "This beer really, you should move this beer up to like 7%, make it a true Bock." And so the next year we did, and I think, and it's been 7% ever since, which I really like. But then this year, we actually followed traditional German lagering technique and used lager yeast, and so it gives it a crisp sort of clean character.
It does. There are some like perceived sweetnesses that you get from ale yeast from the ester content, and when you eliminate some of those, like some of that perceptive sweetness, it makes it feel like a far more light-bodied beer because you don't have that sweetness coating your palate at the end of your sip. So it's lighter, it's crisper, but you don't lose the dried fruit quality. You don't lose the baker's chocolate. It's just the best version of itself.
Yep. So this is the only lager of the 4. The other 3s are, I mean, honestly, they all say ale on the
Somewhere,
label.
yeah.
It's like part of their name. But so Krampus is the only lager in the book. It, like you say, it does have that big stone fruit, almost plummy, aromatic to it. Which I will say, we made mention, of course, that at our undisclosed location, it's hotter than a blast furnace in here. So it's, I think, also quite nice that this beer is warmed up a little bit as we've been talking.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably like somewhere in the 40s at this stage. So a little bit more of that roast note comes out on the nose.
But it's, I think also of these 4, this is the richest beer in terms of its flavor presentation. And so we have purposefully paired it with a little shortbread cookie, which it would have seemed like we could have had we got these 3 beers that are inspired by the British Isles, and then
Right.
we have this one cookie that's inspired by the British Isles.
Sure,
and we
of
choose
course.
to not pair it with any of the British Isle beers.
They call it a biscuit. Isn't that cute?
They're very cute, the English, except for their teeth. Some trouble.
Yeah.
But lots of crumbs associated with the shortbread.
Okay, I'll do your Cookie Monster technique for this one. Look at an animal.
We haven't even had breakfast. We're just shoving cookies in our face. So it's really interesting to me because the shortbread, I would have said to you at the beginning of this that the shortbread has the most neutral flavor presentation of any of these cookies, right? The s'more is very aggressive. Peanut butter, of course, is
Yeah.
a dominant flavor.
S'more is the
Coconut.
flavor of flour and sugar and butter and heat, and that is it.
And I feel like with this pairing, the flavor of the cookie comes through maybe more than it has with any of the other ones.
Yeah, I think with this one, because of that crisp and slightly roasty character of Krampus, it does amplify the sweetness of the cookie a little bit more than just eating it. But at the same time, after I took my swig of Krampus, the cookie sweetness didn't go away. So again, it really did pair well because it complemented the one complements the other.
I think all of these pairings have been really good.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
I shouldn't act so surprised.
Every year it's a surprise, right? Like we're doing
It's
something
true.
that's somewhat unusual.
Do you remember when we paired a mint and chocolate cookie with one of our IPAs?
Yeah.
That was weird, but I
Yeah.
liked it.
I want to say it was Tennessee IPA that had been aged in a barrel.
Oh, it was aged. Oh,
think it
that
was.
makes some sense then. That makes some sense. Okay. Well,
It might
don't
have
look at
actually
me.
been the peach TN. Remember we did that one year with peach, and we put the peaches in the barrel?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And by we, I mean not either of us.
No, they don't want me back there.
Yeah, we're mostly not allowed.
Yeah, I tell everybody who asks, I'm just a pretty face that gets paid to smile.
Right. And wear sunglasses.
It's tradition.
All right. So this concludes the beer and cookie pairing, but it does not conclude what Isaiah and I are going to consume.
What?
I brought this can, which is our Irish Red that was aged in Blue Note whiskey barrels. Blue Note is a distillery based in Memphis. We use their core straight bourbon whiskey, which is called Juke Joint. Juke Joint for this beer was aged in Juke Joint barrels for about a year. And so this is not included in your box, but I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to share it and comment on it.
These are your used
Yeah, those are my used ones. Yeah, I gotta use one of your own used glasses.
Oh, I got one of those.
Just thought it might be a good opportunity for us to talk about it a little bit and share it with y'all. Encourage y'all to stop by the tap room and pick some up.
That's a beautiful color.
It's interesting. I don't if you want to scroll backwards and look at the color when we held it up on the other Irish Red. You can see this one is quite a bit darker.
It is, yeah.
Which lives in wood for a while. It picks up not just flavor and aroma, but it also picks up some coloration, which is true of whiskey, right? The longer it sits in the barrel, the darker it gets.
Yeah.
But like this one, most of your whiskey barrel aged beers for me tend to get super syrupy because they come in so strong. This beer is only 7.5%, and for a barrel aged beer, I say only because I feel like that's a relatively low number.
Yeah, for the category it is, but it's an honest working man's ABV. All right.
But it's not super boozy. We keep all of our barrels cold conditioned while they have beer in them. So it cuts down on that sort of hot liquor.
Right, which I
nose.
think makes for a better drinking experience because it's not just like clobbering you over the head with whiskey and heat.
Right. And I don't say this in any way to be rude, but if you wanted that, you could just buy the whiskey, and you would get that experience, right?
That's right.
Like if you want that real hot alcohol rip, well,
Just do a drop shot of Four Roses in there or something. I don't know.
right. But
Or Blue Note for
yes,
that matter.
with barrel aged beer, I like trying to pick up the characteristics of the barrel.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, the oak solubles really should be the thing that are highlighted when you have any barrel aged product.
yeah, and for me, it comes on Big Vanilla, and I particularly kind of held this to the end because I think it also, if you have, hey, no phones.
Alex is so bored with our dialogue. He's just scrolling on TikTok right now.
Yeah,
Learning how to make sourdough or something.
it's yeah.
All right.
So
Is that why we have the additional shortbread cookies?
oh, that's a great idea.
I wonder.
Okay, yeah, so I wonder how this
Because,
will
I
go.
mean, that big vanilla note might go really well with the shortbread.
Honestly,
Honestly,
I like the beer better by itself.
yeah, I do too.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, I mean, it does it does pair well, but this absolutely steamrolls some of those more delicate barrel notes.
I would have thought, going into this blind, I would have thought at the beginning, oh yes, the barrel-aged Irish Red is going to pair with everything. It's going to be amazing. But it's a standalone product on its own, does so well. Anyway, I think it's a great opportunity for y'all to stop by the tap room and buy it before it's gone because it's really good. You could also find it out and around in the market. We have sold it into a number of liquor stores. You really won't find it in grocery, but like you Kroger, Publix, or anything, you won't find it there. But stop into some of the finer liquor stores and you get that. Also, Alex doesn't know this, but I'm going to tell him right now.
Close TikTok. Listen up.
In the box that you received, right, is the beers and the cookies, and there's something else in there, and it's very important. You should have saved it until now.
What's in the box? Oh yeah.
It's an Underberg. So an Underberg is an herbal digestif, which is to help settle your stomach.
Oh, I'm so glad we're doing this after cookies.
Exactly. Like it's the perfect little pairing for. I've just eaten a handful of cookies and a couple of beers, and like I just like I need a little bit of herbal character. You have a super berg.
Yeah,
cape.
Superberg.
It's just a nice little after cookie bitters. And so thing about Underbergs is they're less than an ounce. There is alcohol in them, but because it's less than an ounce, it's treated like vanilla extract or cooking wine or something. You can buy them in the grocery store. But they really do settle your stomach. And so I would highly recommend Berging. So Bergs.
Bergs. I got number 8 on the bottom of mine.
I'd have to put my glasses on. I don't know.
Oh, Heinz 57 there, boss man.
So the highest number on the bottom buys the round.
That's right.
So looks like it's on me. Hope you enjoyed this sampling. Make sure you save your Underberg caps. Because
Alex is like, don't you do that at my gear.
you can hang on to them, bring them back to the brewery. We're collecting them. Once you achieve some number of caps, you can send them back and get cool prizes.
I'm going to get a set of cordial glasses.
I was really thinking about hopefully a model of myself made out of green plastic. I don't know how many caps I got to collect to get that, but I'm gonna try real hard. But thanks for sticking it out with us. Hope you enjoyed both the pairing and our casual banter. And please stop by the brewery at 2952 Sidco Drive over in Hundred Oaks. We're open every day, 2 to 8. Come and see us.